We haven't been on the mic in a while, and this is our first remote episode.
God, I never thought that I would say that it felt good to be back on U.S. soil, and it does.
And gentlemen, start
Do
your
you think that the 16 Woody's Tavern margaritas that you drank will make you live to 107? This concept of blue zones being connected to these research studies of where people live the longest in the world. So where people consistently live over 100 years old. You can assume that the longest living populations are therefore directly correlated to the health of the population. And so therefore, these are the healthiest zones in the world. The 9 common denominators of what quote unquote constitutes a blue zone.
We don't live in generational homes. When people reach a certain age, they're literally socially isolated. We don't bring our elders into our worlds anymore and learn from them and live with them. We exile them. And so I think that's also a big fear of getting older is, you know, not only your body changing and your mind changing, also, well, who's going to be there for me?
Not being up close and personal to the aging process also contributes to this concept of it being scary and it being something that like you are removed from until you're not, until you're like, oh my God, I'm old and I'm aging. And I think maybe when people are living amongst it or are friends with and experiencing conversation with, I think that exposure gives you so much of an understanding that everyone can be as young at heart as they want to be.
How do we age gracefully?
For those who are deep enough to get it,
but profound enough to not care.
You're listening to Consciously Unconscious.
We're live from far away lands. I miss you. You're so far away from me. Wait, did you see that? Look at the tragedy that is.
Are you bare?
I'm bare nailed. I had a little bit of an anxiety moment where I bit every single finger off.
No, you did not.
Oh, yeah, completely. I had my fingers in my mouth for about an hour. And then I was like bleeding at the end of it. And I was like, wow, it's been a minute since I've done that.
How'd it feel?
Oh, terrible. I mean, in the moment, it's just like such a fixation. Like you have to finish what you've started. And I was actually on the swings at a playground, just literally like gnawing on my fingers, watching little kids play. People are like,
Mommy, who's this crackhead?
Who's this weird fucking cracked out girl? Yeah. So I'm going bare for a little while and I'm feeling nubby.
You know, I think everyone is kind of going bare for a while.
Yeah, I don't want to be everyone. I love my long nails.
I don't either. And honestly, I'm kind of pissed that it's becoming a trend, but I do think it's a recession indicator. And I do think that everyone is overpaying $150 just to get their fucking nails done.
Yeah, you know what's even worse than being bare? Press-ons.
Jessa?
Why are people putting press-on nails on? No, you bought some? Oh, God damn it.
So I found these at Carl's Pharmacy in Aspen.
Carl.
Which is just like a cute... Carl's my guy. And Carl loves press-ons. And so these were $5 on the clearance aisle. My mom was going in to buy like a Gatorade or some shit. I was like, Mom, put these on your tab. I gotta try them.
Okay, well, it is an indicator of a recession that you still have your nails on from 2 months ago. So let me see them.
These are so grown out.
But they're hanging on really well.
They are, but it's gotten to the point where they like bend and they're ripping my nail with them. And so they hurt so bad.
Right.
I almost need to take a page from your book and just bite them all off.
Good luck and keep me posted on how that goes because I'm not only do I have cracked teeth, I have bleeding fingers.
Well, Jessa's back in the States finally. She has been gone for the entire summer. So we've got a lot to catch up on. We haven't been on the mic in a while, and this is our first remote episode. I feel a little rusty, but it's feeling good.
I'm a little rusty too. I keep forgetting that we're not just like on FaceTime. Like we're actually gonna like put this out into the world. So I'm trying to be careful of what I say. But yes, I'm back on U.S. soil, and honestly, God, I never thought that I would say that it felt good to be back on U.S. soil, and it does. It does.
Were you tempted to make that TikTok that said, "And gentlemen, start
Your
your
engines." Yeah. Yeah, we still have unreleased footage from the first couple times that Amanda and I recorded, and that was one of our first TikToks with that sound of our patriotism.
That
But
was our first TikTok. I totally forgot about that.
look what I got. It's a hydro flask.
Oh, it looks like a
And
Stanley.
do you want to know something? Baby girl's been drinking lots of water.
Wow. Yeah,
I know.
that's something that's different for
new
you.
for me. That's new for me. Ever since
Yeah.
I've been reading about blue zones, I learned that I need more liquids in my life. More
Yeah,
water.
that's the
water liquids.
that's the bare minimum that you've got from the from the blue zones.
Yeah.
Drink more water.
Yeah, dude, but I'm back in. I haven't showed you yet. We'll do like a full tour afterwards because I don't think it'll be good to carry you around on the screen. But I'm at my parents'. They built a tiny home, and so I'm at this like remote little tiny home overlooking the lake. You can kind of see it behind me. But we've kind of been posted up here for a little bit, and I'm jet lagged as fuck. No idea what day it is. No idea what time it is. I mean, like, I'm fine, but I don't know where I am.
Yeah, I'm honestly shocked that we both got the time right. You with being jet
Same.
lagged and being in two separate time zones still. The time zone thing was a lot, but I feel like we actually did a good job at figuring it out and being on top of it. But I'm so interested and so excited to see the tiny home. Are you guys both staying in there? Like that's what you're sleeping?
We stayed at my parents' the first 2 nights just because we got in late and like we're just kind of chilling there. But we're gonna stay here basically for the rest of the time Boss is here. So we just saunaed before this. I saunaed and got in the shower and then connected.
Wait,
I know.
did you just call him boss on the podcast?
Suze. Not me, just like making him completely exploit himself on the podcast. I said, "What's your full name? What's your social security number?" I listened to your episode with Lucas. So cute. High ratings. Lucas needs to go to therapy for restless leg syndrome, though.
Dude, his fucking restless leg. And of course, yeah, the camera's right on his goddamn knee and his leg is so large.
Oh, his foot
got
is
thick
front and
thighs.
center. Front and center screen, his foot just...
It's like an ADHD thing. It's a tick. I don't know what it is.
Oh, totally. It's
Cheryl, good.
Just
That
kidding.
one's
We're
for
gonna
you.
get canceled. Yeah. So back on U.S. soil, still apart, still recording remotely for now. You're in Aspen. You've been there. It feels like for a long time now. You've been looking like you've been doing really fun stuff.
We've been doing a lot of fabulous things. I mean, Aspen is a fabulous place, and I'm really, really feeling the disparity in wealth between me and the people who frequent here.
Right.
It's one of those. It's one of those places where you really quickly realize, like, oh, people live different. People live different.
Isn't it like ranked in the top 10 most expensive cities in the United States?
I'm sure. I grew up going here, so where I learned to ski was in Snowmass, and so we would come to Aspen for like dinners and stuff, but we never stayed in Aspen. And then as I got older, my dad started to do this charity event. So he does a golf tournament every single year in the summertime. And we are fortunate enough to have one of the guys who runs it puts us up in a place. So we get to stay here.
Nice.
And so every summer we come because it's free stay and it's a beautiful place. But it's just totally one of those places that you walk around and you're like, what the fuck do people do? How do they live here? What I feel like one of those TikTok people that's like, what do you do? What's your job? Where do you work?
What do you do
How
for
do you
a
afford
living?
this? Yeah, and I'm walking around all of these places and I'm just like, I mean, we got 3 sandwiches the other day. $100. $100 for 3 sandwiches.
Where? Were they fucking dusted in 14 karat gold?
Yeah, I think they just like butchered the meat from the fucking cow. Like it was just it's insane. It's insane and it feels a little out of touch, but it's a little good perspective because I'm like, God damn, like I can't even afford to get these goddamn gel X
Yeah,
off.
I've got $5 press-ons in my bag, and y'all are eating $100 sandwiches. Understood.
Yeah.
Understood my place.
But it's totally, I mean, the thing that I love the most about it is such a beautiful place. Like the mountain's right there. Like being so close to the mountain is something that I really value. And we've been exploring. We went to the grottos, which is like these ice cave things. So we took the kids on this hike. Beautiful waterfalls. We called them dinosaur caves because I was like anything to make them interested on going on this hike. And
Obviously.
so we've been doing so many fun things. We went on the gondola the other day, which again was $40 per person to get on the gondola just to ride it, not even including food up at the top because there's a restaurant. Yeah, of me hula hooping on my neck.
Yep. You know what I watched the other day that it made me think of? Have you seen the new movie with Brad Pitt where he's the F1 racer?
No.
Okay, first of all, it's so good. And Brad Pitt's just a fucking legend. I heard that he beats his wife, but anyways, that's a different story for a different day. But he's an F1 racer, and it's based on like a true story. But one of the scenes shows like how much neck strength that they need to have when they're racing because of like the pressure of turning and being whipped around. So there's this scene of him like laying against the bed, holding himself up like by his neck. That made me think of you with the hula hoop, just like working out your neck. Yeah, so Amanda's training to be an F1 racer. If no one knew.
Oh my God. Well, you know, that's a thing. I was in the gym with Lucas the other day, and there's this guy like laying off the bench trying to like fix his neck strength.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Yes. And Lucas, like, what's it called? Herniated a disc in his neck, like his C4 or C5 or cervical spine or some shit. And
didn't he do that
so
like
he went up
2
to the guy
years
and was
ago?
like, he did it like last summer, but it still bothers him. So he went up to the guy and he's like, "Is that for your neck? Do I need to start doing that? Like, does it actually work?"
Oh, what's good with that? He's like, actually, I'm a race car driver. Okay, but no,
Actually,
I've decided that I'm obsessed with race car driving, and I want to go to a Formula One race. So
I'm just, can we just start with the fact that you watched a movie?
I went to an open air cinema in Greece. I didn't have a choice. I went with other people.
What's
who
an
made me
open
go.
air cinema? What's that mean?
It's kind of like a drive-up movie theater, like in the US, but you're not in like your Ford F1 pickup trucks. You're like in this like really cute outdoor venue where there's like a bunch of chairs that are set up. It's an outdoor movie theater, and it's all green. There's all this greenery and a big screen. It's super cute, but I was actually locked and loaded into the movie, and that hasn't happened to me for a while. So maybe it was the setting, maybe it was because like, I don't know. I just felt like I had to be engaged because we were kind of like with his family and stuff. And also Brad Pitt, I get it. I understand. Like I understand the hype. Also I've been told that I look like Angelina Jolie. So it's all coming full circle.
You do look like Angelina Jolie. Wait, they're not actually married, are they?
Well, they were, and they've got like 5 kids together, and apparently he beat her up. He apparently abused her, and they went to court, and she won custody over the children, and I think they got back together. I don't know. This is a pop culture reference that I thought you would have much more familiarity on than me. But Brad Pitt is a woman beater.
Brad Pitt is a little... Brad Pitt is also just a little, like, before my time. I don't know. I was never really into him. I think I was more into Ryan Gosling, but... Or also Justin Bieber. I mean, like, the generation. But have you listened to Swag?
Obviously. And he had the people hooked with his internet crash outs. And then he doesn't say a single thing about his album, and he drops one. I mean, I do feel a little bit like my heartstrings have been tugged on. My mom was telling me a little bit about how she was feeling really concerned for him as a motherly, nurturing figure. And then she felt a little backstabbed when he released an album just after his crash out to get attention. And I kind of agreed with that. Yeah. But you know what? Very smart marketing team. And Daisies and Yukon are the best.
Yukon is amazing. I never thought anything was wrong with this man, ever. I just thought he was fucking a weirdo and loved social media. But Lucas from day one was like, no, this is a marketing scheme for his album. Like, he's recording an album. This is the marketing. This is the rollout. And I was like, no, like that's no way. And then sure enough, but I will say, maybe this
Sure
is a little bit of a
enough.
hot take. Maybe this is a little bit of a hot take. I don't think the album is his best at all.
No, it's not his best, but it was a really nice, like,
It was,
reintroduction
you know,
to
it
him.
was really nice of him. It was really nice of him.
It was. It was in these times of like all these recession indicators. Justin Bieber putting out an album is uplifting the people. I mean, think about when he
Totally.
released Pray after Hurricane Katrina and called on the people. I
You're
mean,
right.
this is
You're
really
so
like
right.
this is big news for late stage capitalism.
He's just telling us to basically have more swag. You know, that's the other thing. Recession indicator, him titling his album Swag.
Explain. I don't
That
disagree, but I want to
is
explain.
quite possibly the worst title I could ever think of.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely thought that he was using drugs, but like I would be too. So I really don't blame him.
Yeah, I saw one gal say that she just felt like the album felt a little unfinished, and that's kind of how I felt too. It was like it just feels like it was a little half-assed.
I feel that the songs were very short. Like every
Yes.
song, I was like, that was like 2 minutes long. I just took a single breath. Like I
Mm-hmm.
didn't get a chance to really like sink in. And then there's that guy on there that's like, you sound kind of black. And I'm like, is that is that a is that
Okay,
okay to put out there?
so this is the pop culture reference that I do know of. That's Drewski. Drewski is the
Risky.
funniest motherfucker. I think he also is very controversial and has maybe a few like cancellations on his hand, but he is funny. If you go on his Instagram reels, you will laugh your ass off. He just basically does like these skits where he'll be like a construction worker or he'll be like working at KFC and he actually goes into these places and he's so funny. Like he actually is just a funny man.
Okay, I'll look into it.
Yeah.
Speaking of KFC, kind of about fried chicken. My first meal back in the United States was Chick-fil-A. Yeah.
I mean, thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank God it wasn't a Sunday. But
Yeah. Thank God. Yeah, how was the flight back? How are you guys adjusting? Are you feeling, I know you said that you were happy to be back, but like are you feeling like everything's too bright, like everything's too noisy, the air is too cold?
well, first of all, didn't sleep a literal single minute on the flight home for 11 hours. Boss and I started playing, sorry, Zeus and I, whatever, y'all know him now. We started playing one of those games on the back of the seat, We played Mini Metro for like 7 hours, where you have to
You're
build
kidding.
metro systems in every single city. And then we were locked in. So we just played Mini Metro for 7 hours. And then I packed like a bunch of snacks and we just like suffered. And then, the reintegration, I think I'm in a great place to reintegrate because I'm back home in upstate New York in Canandaigua. I'm here for a wedding and my parents live on the lake. Like we've got a lot of land. It's very, very green. It's definitely warm and humid. So temperature wise, like there's not much of a change in terms of like the air coming from Athens, and Greece in general, but it's a really nice place to reintegrate because I'm not kind of shoved into a city with like a bunch of strip malls and a bunch of just like bright LED lights and just like very American highways and gray cement. It's very nature-esque and picturesque. Like it's basically Lake Como here. But it just feels like my nervous system is finally able to take a breath now that I'm back in my childhood home. Like I can get up and take a shit whenever I want. I can go to the kitchen and make myself food. I can just like be completely uninhibited. Whereas every place before this, like you're kind of on guard because you're either staying in someone else's home, you're moving from hotel to hotel, you're definitely just like out of your own personal specific element. And there's something that's so comfortable about being back in your childhood home and being around your family. And my parents are just like obviously doting on me because they're so excited to see us. And it's been really nice. ask me in about 5 days how I'm feeling, because I'm gonna start to twitch and tweak out. But it'll be nice to spend some time like alone here. I'm very grateful that I love being home with my parents and staying in that home, but I'll get a chance to just like have my own space as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay, a few questions. Was this the first time that Voss met your parents? How's it been going?
it's great. I think as
Yeah?
we speak, he's asking my father permission.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm joking. I'm fucking joking. He's outside.
Oh my God.
No,
I got
no.
so excited.
No, fuck no. But maybe, but no. But it's been really fun. I mean, he just fits really naturally. He's super respectful, and like my parents are super inquisitive, so there's always something to talk about. Like we brought them back a bunch of stuff from Greece, so we've been eating like the olives and using the olive oil and just kind of just catching up on the trip. And it's super easy. My parents are super easy. You've met them. I mean,
Yeah.
he's fitting in perfectly. But yeah, I feel like this is the Bachelor hometowns. Like I just went and stayed with this family, and now I'm like, come to my house.
Well, that was what I was going to ask you too, because I don't think we caught up on you met Voss's family. How was that?
Sure did. Stayed with them for a month. I mean, it's amazing. It's his mom and his sister who live in the same house together, and then his dad lives separately because they're separated, but just super easy to integrate. I mean, it says a lot about Voss, and it says a lot about someone when they grow up in a household of women. And when
Yep.
you get to be in a household of women too, like that automatically just feels really supportive and really safe. And his sister, I adore his sister. She made so much of an effort to like take me in and translate for me and like make me
Oh.
feel welcome and comfortable. And, you know, what do you need to borrow? Do you need anything? Like just really, really sweet and kind. And there was a couple nights where like I had good time with her alone, and then I had really good time with him and his mom alone, and I got the green flag of approval, which felt good. So I think they're feeling good.
Oh.
I know.
I
Just
love
really
that.
sweet. And again, I've said this before on the pod, and like said this to you, but visiting someone's home, especially their childhood home, not just like where they're from, and meeting their family just tells you so much about someone, why they are the way that they are, why they might have certain triggers, why they might have like specific conditioning, you know, preferences, all of those things. And you kind of get to peek a little bit beyond the choices that they've made for themselves, and you get to see like what some of that subconscious programming comes from in real time, where you can see it from a third party perspective, where you're like, oh, I totally get why you're so fucking specific about the way that the dishes go in the dishwasher. I totally get why you're
Yep.
so specific about X, Y, and Z. So that's also like kind of a fun way to psychoanalyze someone, which he's doing with me right now.
I was listening to your episode too with Boss, and I need to know the particularity, because I remember when we were talking, I don't think we were on the podcast, but we were talking before you left about like, you know, or like butterflies about being with somebody and living with them after, you know, being long distance. And so I remember you saying like he is particular, and I could totally see that just from his
Yeah.
personality. He seems like he's just very like groomed and like polished. So what were like the little particularities that came up during the trip?
I think it's funny too, because it shines a light on me also being more particular than I thought that I was, because I've never had
Yeah.
anyone to point out my particularities, because I've lived alone for 4 years. So like I've never realized how particular I am about specific items and things and just like ways to do things. And I think it's interesting because whether it's friendship or relationship or familial, like things, everyone thinks they're correct in the way that they want to accomplish something or do something. And so like you want to do things your way because you think that it's the most efficient, you think that it's the most productive, you think that it's the right way, right? It doesn't mean that like you're stuck in that all the time, but you have a vision of how to complete something or do something. And I think we're both just like particular about like the ways that we complete something or have a plan for something. I think one of the things that we learned is the sleeping environment has been like we've had to make some compromises in terms of how we how we sleep. So it's based on temperature in the room, sound in the room, light in the room, like very specific things. And everyone loves to sleep well. So it's like kind of a sensitive topic, but it's not I am so fucking particular about the way that I sleep, and my environment is very controlled. I have a sound machine. I have a breeze, whether it's a fan or an air conditioner. I have, the right pillow. I have the right blanket. I have like everything. And I think that he's less particular about like the conditions, except for the like air. He hates air conditioning. He's an anti-air
I thought you were going to
conditioner.
say, except for the fact that he needs to have all 72 of his stuffed animals in
Yeah,
front of him at all times.
yeah, basically. But the air conditioning has been a fight. I mean, as a European, like you don't grow up with air conditioning. And so air conditioning like literally makes you sick if you sleep in like a cold room because your body's not used to it. And so we've been going back and forth about the air conditioning and the little bit of snoring, which really affects my misophonia. It's but learning curves.
That is so
How
funny.
are yeah. How are you?
Okay, is your
Anyway,
I can't even look at myself laughing on this screen because I've been drinking so much here. My face, my eyes are like swollen shut.
wait, have you been drinking a lot?
I've been drinking, not like a ton. I got hammered the other night. 2 nights ago, I went to this place called Woody Creek Tavern, which was a place that I grew up going to. It's like a classic, mountain
Like
town
mountain
dive,
tavern.
dive bar type of vibe, but it recently got bought, so it's kind of a little bit more commercialized now and a little bit more, I don't want to say corporate, but it definitely has more of that like elevated feel than it used to. But they're famous for their margaritas. It's like a Mexican place, and so I mean, we just kept sending the mezcal margaritas, and I don't even remember the drive home. I was in the back seat. I don't even remember
Oh,
the drive home.
I
I
thought
don't
you
even
were
remember.
gonna say like you drove home. You're like, I don't even
Oh no
remember
no
driving
no
home.
no! I don't do that
Yeah,
anymore. Just kidding.
good. We've changed.
No, yeah,
Um,
it was really bad to the point where I got like, okay, this has not happened to me often, but probably like twice a year, I'll get really, really drunk and get like mean to Lucas because it comes from a place of I'm not feeling well and I'm pissed that I'm not feeling good, like I'm gonna throw up or it spins and I can't sleep. And so then I take it out on him and I
right.
feel so fucking bad the next day. And he doesn't take anything personal because again, it's not like every single time that I drink, right? But it just reminds me, I'm like, oh my God, like I do not want to become a different person when I drink. This is terrible.
Dude, drinking like really can bring that out in people in those strangest times. It also depends on what you drink too. I mean, like I used to get
Yes.
really, 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 really mean in college if I drank gin. I don't know why. Now I
Mm.
love gin and it doesn't really affect me in that way anymore. I guess I haven't really like drank to oblivion with gin in quite some time, but there definitely are some alcohols that affect people differently and make you like just, I know exactly what you mean, just mean, just cruel, and just like picky at someone, just being like literally fuck you for no reason.
I guess I called him a pussy ass bitch.
And meant it at the time and fucking meant it.
I think, I think it was because he wouldn't have sex with me.
Amanda. He's like, you do not have my consent. You're like, you pussy ass bitch. That is so funny.
But also, like, I don't think I've ever said those words combined together in my
Pussy ass
entire life.
bitch.
So, yeah, so why is it coming out when I'm drunk?
Dude, the subconscious holds things that are just ready to
Holds
unleash when they're ready.
so much. I have one more thing I need to add that I forgot about, and then we need to get into the episode in the beverage of the week
Yes.
because I'm almost done with mine. But okay, did you ever watch Shameless?
No, but I do love
God
Lip Gallagher.
damn. Okay, well, Frank Gallagher, which is the dad, his name is
Aspen.
William Macy. He's like a huge actor. He's been in so many things. He was at Woody Creek Tavern.
Did you connect with him? Did you get his info?
No, No, I was trying to get him to notice me and then like sign me for his next movie and discover me. I was trying to get discovered. I was trying to channel Marilyn Monroe and be like, look at me. Look at me.
Right. Turning on your like siren energy.
My magnetism, yeah. But no, he didn't notice me, unfortunately. But it was so odd because I think it was the first time that I saw a celebrity and I was like, you literally look the exact same as you did in your role in Shameless.
Yeah.
And like this is like I feel like you're in my TV, but you're not. It was so odd to see somebody in the wild that looked exactly the same.
I don't know that I've ever like really been around and seen that many celebrities before. I guess I've never really thought about it. I'm sure there's one that I've met like here and there, but I've never really thought about like being in the presence of fame because I don't think I've ever, other than like a concert or something.
It's interesting too because you're like, what do I do? What behavior is going to come out in me when I meet a famous person, right? Because there's so many behaviors that do come out when people do. Like, are you going to be the one that's starstruck? Are you going to ask for a picture? Are you going to do this, that, or the other? And I feel like the correct way to go about it is complimenting their work. Like, hey, don't want to bother you. Just wanted to say, big fan of your work. And then maybe they're like, oh my God, cool. Like, then they're curious about you. And then they're like, what's your name? And what do you do? And da-da-da. And then maybe it's a connection, right?
Yeah, potentially.
But then you also run the risk of them being like, yeah, thanks so much. And like,
no,
not
I would
giving you the time
never
of day.
approach it. I love your work. I would just be like, hey, what are you doing here? Like, I think that I would try to treat them the most normal that I could treat them. Like, I think that they're so used to having interactions that are just like totally starstruck fandom. Like, I love what you do. I'm so obsessed with you. I loved your character in this show. And it's like, they're just a normal human and they're just at Woody's fucking tavern trying to have a beer and just like chill and live life. So like, I don't, it's like, yeah, there's a balance between pointing out that you respect what someone's doing with their work, but also just treating them like they're just another human at Woody's tavern.
True, because I do think that there is a line as well where, if I know that somebody knows who I am and that's why they're talking to me, tell me you know who I am, Don't act like you don't know who I am. That's almost weirder to me. So if you just say like, hey, I know who you are. Like, how are you doing?
Yeah. I think that they probably know that many people know who they are without having to say that they know.
Yeah, but maybe they don't because maybe they don't want to be like a selfish asshole and be like, everyone knows who I am. You know what I mean?
Do you think that the 16 Woody's Tavern margaritas that you drank will make you live to 107?
I actually do think that is one of the things that I was watching in the Blue Zones that make people live longer. So yeah, I do.
Just Woody's Tavern margaritas. It's one of the 9 common denominators.
It is. It is.
I'm just here to drop by and let you know that if you've been feeling stuck or like your energy is off, you need a little bit deeper healing, or you're craving finding some purpose and meaning in your life, I want to introduce you to a program that's going to alter the course of your life in general. It's called Open by Rooted Reiki Academy, created by our dear friend Nikki Janke, who is also known on Instagram as It's Nicolette Marie. Open is a 10-week Reiki 1 and 2 certification and attunement program, but it's not your typical get a certificate and peace out situation. It's a slow, sacred, supported process that's all about helping you come home to yourself. You'll get access to deep healing experiences, think guided breath work, ceremonies, energy healing, clearings, and powerful Reiki teachings that go way beyond the basics of what a normal Reiki attunement program would look like. So we're talking nervous system regulation, shadow work, chakra healing, cord cutting. I mean, no one else in the world is doing what Nikki's doing in this Reiki training. So I just want to say that I went through my Reiki training a couple of years ago in Thailand, and it included none of this. So if I ever go back and do a program, it's Nikki's. Whether you want to start your own healing business or you're just trying to feel grounded, powerful, and more like yourself, this is it. DM Nikki and tell her you came from Consciously Unconscious. She's giving you 10% off the program. So you can choose a base level or a VIP track and you get 10% off either. Head to reikiwithnikki.com. That's reikiwithnikki.com for details, or you can check out her Instagram at Rooted Reiki Academy. You can find her on Instagram as It's Nicolette Marie, or you can ask her or us any questions that you have about the 10-week program. But seriously, if you've been waiting for a sign, here it is. Enjoy.
Okay, we need to get into the episode. Let's start with the beverage of the week. I feel like you should sing because I don't feel like it.
Look at my ingredients. I've already pre-made it, but I wanted to show everyone.
Okay. Love. I think I have my ginger in here too somewhere. And my lime.
Okay. So I'm singing. I'm blue, da-ba-dee-da-ba-die, and it's the beverage of the week, da-ba-dee-da-ba-die, and I'm blue, living to 106, 'cause I'm drinking this drink, and it's the beverage of the week. That was good.
Wait, that was fire.
Yeah, that came out of the depths of my soul.
That was subconscious, workings right there. Wow.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite songs ever. Speaking of blue, since we're getting into a whole episode on, yes, blue zones, but aging sustainably, longevity, just kind of like how your environment influences your health, et cetera, et cetera. Blue, I always think of like that song, or maybe was it that song? I don't know. Regardless, I'm thinking of the movie Big Fat Liar, where he puts all the blue dye in his shampoo and he cleans himself and he turns all blue.
Yes.
Yeah, great movie. Gotta resurface that.
That was Amanda Bynes, right?
Is it Amanda Bynes?
Yeah. I think it was Amanda Bynes and then like Cody Banks or something like that. Is that his name?
Who's the one who zips himself up into the sticky suit and throws himself at the Velcro wall?
The main guy?
No, I don't know. We're going to have to resurface it and do, instead of book club, let's do like a cinematography breakdown.
Love movie club.
Love movie club. Well, beverage of the week is not blue. I tried to lean into the blue spirulina, but blue spirulina is harder to access than you think it is. So we decided to choose a drink that Amanda found that is a very popularized drink in, is it Costa Rica?
So I do have to say... I do have to say that I picked this because it sounded really yummy. And it was the first thing that popped up when I typed in Costa Rica beverage, like a traditional Costa Rican beverage, right? And then after I picked it and after I got the ingredients, I was doing a little more research on it. And it turns out it really isn't a traditional drink.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Explain.
It turns out that it's kind of just like wellnessy. It's not really traditional to Costa Ricans.
I mean, I could have
It's just kind of a trending thing, but the reason it could be kind of considered tied to Costa Rica is because what this is called and what we're talking about, it's water, ginger, lime, and honey. It's fabulous. It's really, really yummy. And again, it's hot water, so it's kind of just like a tea. But what it's called is a toad water. And the reason that it has ties to Costa Rica is because of the toad medicine, frog medicine.
Yes, Cambo.
Yes, that's super, super popular there.
Bufo.
So that Bufo, yes.
Bufo.
Yeah, so that is really the only Costa Rican tie that I think it really has. But in terms of being like a traditional drink that people drink to live longer, nar.
Okay. Well, yes. We're drinking trendy wellness drink, but also maybe ties to Costa Rica. And the reason why Costa Rica is tied into this entire topic is because one of the 5 identified blue zones that were identified in the early 2000s by this researcher from National Geographic, Dan Buettner, is in the Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica. And we'll go through where the rest of them are as well. But basically, this concept of blue zones being connected to these research studies of where people live the longest in the world. So where people consistently live over 100 years old. And you can assume that the longest living populations are therefore directly correlated to the health of the population. And so therefore, these are the healthiest zones in the world. And they have the lowest rates of chronic disease. They have the lowest rates of cognitive decline. They have really just like happy, healthy, peaceful people. And we're going to break down all the reasons on his research why, and then potentially go into kind of like how maybe our environments have affected us, what we can change about environments, just other talking points that have to do with, again, longevity, sustainability, aging gracefully, and just all things kind of like health wellness in an age, in an era where we might not have access to these 5 specific zones to go live to 107, but how can we turn our lives into like our own personal blue zone, our own personal experience of health and wellness and immortality?
Thank you, Jessa. I really loved that introduction. Thank you so much.
I feel like I'm like hosting a webinar. I'm like,
yeah, I was like, I wanted you to say like back to you, Amanda.
holy shit.
Oh my God. We have to like we need to call like they're like webcam sessions, except for
Dude,
we're not cam
they're
girls. We're
literal
like
webinars. They're like informational webinar sessions.
yeah, like a online Zoom event or something.
God damn.
I watched the Live to 100, The Secret of the Blue Zones, which is like Dan Buettner's documentary.
Okay.
And I didn't watch the entire thing. It's broken up into 4 episodes, and there were a few that were really interesting. Others that I was just kind of like, I don't really want to watch this. But the thing that stuck out to me the most about the Blue Zones was a line he said was, they live longer without trying, which is really telling, because I think to even have this conversation, we're gonna juxtapose it with the US, because we live in a culture obviously that is so obsessed with youth and wanting to be younger, feel younger, and look younger. I mean, the anti-aging industry is literally $60 billion industry, and it's projected to reach $90 billion by like 2030. And so we obviously are trying so hard to live longer, while these places where there are a lot of centenarians, is what they call them, centenarians,
which means living to 100 plus.
Yeah. Is that they're not trying to do that. They're just living the way that their generations have for years and years and years and years. And I think what was really interesting about it too is there's this essence of like collectiveness, versus with us in the US, obviously it's very individual. And so there are so many things to juxtapose it with. The one thing I want to say though, before we really dive deeper, is there's also a lot of like debunking of the blue zones. A lot of people trying to come out and say like they're not really a thing.
Yeah, we'll have to touch base on some of the things that you watched in the documentary, because there's some interesting information that Dan Buettner has about communities that he's worked with specifically in the US to change the environments that these people live in, which have proven the change in numbers of like specific hospital visits or specific, I don't exactly know. We'll touch base on those. But I love what you said about these zones of people not trying to live longer, whereas we're in this obsessive culture of trying to preserve quantity over quality, where they are trying to enhance quality, and therefore as an outcome of that, quantity expands as well. And it's almost that ironic cycle of like wanting something so bad that you end up pushing it away. So we want youth, we want health, we want wellness, we want to age gracefully and live these long lives, but it's almost like it's working in opposition, because we're trying so hard that maybe we're actually pushing it further away.
And again, I think it's really reflective of just the like socioeconomic structure of the countries that we're living in. And what was also interesting about the 5 blue zones, which is, what is it? Greece, Costa Rica, Loma Linda, California, Japan,
and
Italy. Yeah, somewhere in Italy.
Yep.
And I think what's really interesting is if you look at somebody who's like one of the biggest researchers of longevity or scientists of longevity in our country, it's the Brian Johnson guy. Do you know about him?
No, it was Brian Johnson.
Oh my God. This man has dedicated his entire life to trying to age backwards.
In what way? Like physically?
Physically. So he is this like tech billionaire, and it's really this like, what do they call it? They call it like these biohacker billionaires in the US, where these billionaires are trying to biohack their health and well-being in their bodies to live longer. And this
But what?
guy,
Okay, sorry to interrupt you, but like what? We want to fucking live longer so we can work more years? What do you mean? Like
yeah.
live longer to make more money to then like live longer to work more to make more money? I'm
Well, that's the
confused.
question too, is like you want longevity, but are you actually living? Like what are you living for longer for if you're not going to actually live?
Yes.
And to quote Drake, everyone dies, but not everyone lives. And
Facts.
so just need to
Facts.
put that one in there. But Brian Johnson, okay, so he basically was like this tech billionaire. He sold his company to PayPal, which is why he has all this endless money. He spends $2 million a year on trying to reverse his biological age. So he wants to reach the age in his body of 18. He wants to try to get his biological like age down to 18. He's 37 years old. Or no, he's older than that. How old is Brian Johnson? Age. He's 47. No.
Okay.
Was that the right one? Brian Johnson. You know what's really hard about this is that every single man in the US is probably named Brian Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, could you be more American?
Okay, he's 47 years old. Really interesting. He was born in Utah, which is a culture specifically in the US that is obsessed with youth and looking young and looking perfect. Anywho, Brian Johnson spends $2 million a year on trying to reverse his age. His routine is he eats a vegan diet. He only eats between like 6 to 11 a.m. And he does blood plasma transfusions. He like got a blood plasma transfusion from his son, who's like 17 years old.
Ew.
But the thing is if you're just focused on your sleep environment and your food and like all of these factors that you're trying to perfectly control, is it just for the science, just for like the fuck of it, to see what you could achieve? Or is it really to like live longer because you don't want to die? But at what point are you like extending your life expectancy but not actually having a good life?
Right. Like, is it just for the sheer fact of saying that you did, or being
Exactly.
someone who's kind of like an outlier in, again, like leading technology and like doing these things just for the fuck of it because you can? Or like, are you actually utilizing that time to live a life filled with joy and peace and happiness? And yeah, I mean, that is crazy to me. I can understand the obsession with like looking a certain way and how difficult it is as you age to lose specific pieces of yourself in terms of your independence, in terms of your physicality and your ability to, like work out in your garden or do things all your whole life that have made you joyous and happy and peaceful. Like you do, it is quote unquote difficult to age, but I think that we have completely demonized the concept and made it this like very combative thing of how scary and how terrible it is to age. And so there's such a fear around aging that we put so much energy, like this Brian Johnson guy, into not aging or aging backwards, that you're not able to be present. You're not able to actually enjoy and live and experience the world around you. I mean, I always say, like my first response, you know how you're always talking to someone, they're like, yeah, I'm old. I'm just an old woman. I'm just an old man. Like every fucking adult is always like, oh, I'm old. And it's like, okay, first of all, shut up. Second of all, aging is a privilege. Like, do you know how many people have died that don't get to age because of crazy circumstances or
Do
just
you know
like
how many people have
life?
died?
Yeah. Actually, do you know how many kids are starving in Africa? But for real, like it's just I vow to never be someone who's just like, I'm so old. I'm just so old now. I'm so old.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you're old and you're fucking wise. And what even is old, Like,
Again, I think it goes back to the way that our society is set up, because when like we live in cultures where we don't live in generational homes, when people reach a certain age, they're literally socially isolated. We don't bring our elders into our worlds anymore and learn from them and live with them. We exile them. And so I
yeah.
think that's also a big fear of getting older is not only your body changing and your mind changing, and you might not be able to do the things that you used to do, is also, well, who's going to be there for me? Who's going to take care of me? I mean, I think about
Yeah.
Lucas's grandma, who lives with Lucas's parents and has no friends. All of her friends have died. Her husband died. Like, she doesn't do anything all day. She's just sitting there.
Yeah.
And thank God she has Lucas's parents, and they're amazing. But at the same time, like, what a lonely life. My grandma has been living alone for years.
Yeah.
And she has gotten so accustomed to her routine that if she just like leaves for the grocery store, she's overwhelmed. And so, in the blue zones, which what was really interesting about the documentary is you saw these old women who were 102, 101. There's this one woman. Her name was, I don't know if she's actually still around, but her name was Umeto-san. And she says the key to living longer is always have fun, make everyone happy, never get angry, have fun with everybody. Laughter brings longevity. And she's sitting around with her daughters, her daughter's daughters, her daughter's daughter's daughters, and they're all playing games. And she's like playing this game where she has to throw something onto a rod and like try to get it onto the rod. And she does it like first try. She's walking, she's moving, she's dancing, she's singing, and she's 101.
Yeah.
And so it just shows you what integration can actually do versus separation.
Yeah. You touched on a few things that I want to go towards because I think we're leaning towards the 9 common denominators of what quote unquote constitutes a blue zone, which we can break down. But I want to revert back to what you said about one of those 9 common denominators is loved ones first. So living with your elders and spending time in a family in a generational home, which is a lot of what I've seen this whole past summer experiencing traveling Europe and just, going back to a family that supports that and lives like that. Anyways, I thought of when you were talking the concept that we most of the time tend to surround ourselves only with people our age because we're not living in generational homes and because we're not really surrounding ourselves with other demographics and other age groups of people to like quote unquote be friends with. Like think about your social circles, right? They all tend to be mostly people like you, people your age, people invested in the same things that you're invested in. I think that not being up close and personal to the aging process also contributes to this concept of it being scary and it being something that like you are removed from until you're not, until you're like, oh my God, I'm old and I'm aging. And I think maybe when people are living amongst it or are friends with and experiencing conversation with and in dialogue and conversation with people who are aging, like I've talked about her before on the podcast, like my 60-year-old friend, Dina, who I met when I was in Sri Lanka, like just the perspective that she had on aging and surrounding myself with someone who is much, much older. Like, I think that exposure gives you so much of an understanding that everyone can be as young at heart as they want to be. And so I think that's an interesting thing to maybe action item people to do is spend more time around people of all different ages and people who are much older than you so that you can be up close and witness how aging really shouldn't be scary.
That is a fabulous point that I wasn't even thinking about, because I think also what I notice in the US versus watching something like the Blue Zone docuseries and even listening to one of my favorite podcasts, I don't know if she's still releasing new seasons, I think she is Julia Marie Dreyfus. She kind of has like a mission to destigmatize aging, and she only interviews women who are older than her. And it's called Wiser Than Me. And so she asks them obviously like about their lives, but then also the same questions. So like if you could go back and ask your 20-year-old self something or tell your 20-year-old self something, what would you say? And like it's really interesting to get all of these women's perspective. But I think that what I have noticed is that in the US, it's very much this hierarchy. Like we don't look at our elders as a part of us or the same as us or of the same value. It's either our elders are, old and not with the times, or it's we need to respect them. They're our elders. They're above us. So it's not like this equal playing field that I feel like maybe other cultures have where I'm learning from you, you're learning from me. Like we're both the teacher and the student, which I don't feel like we have here.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I think, yeah, like you said, many other generations, like there is this, and many other cultures, there is this concept of kind of respecting your elder, but also at the same time, like respecting them as an equal and them to you, like not looking down upon someone younger as less knowledgeable or less wise or less like fully experiencing life just as the same human who's figuring it out as they go. I think we should break down kind of the 9 of the common denominators without going too far into detail about each of them, but just give people kind of the lay of the land about what we mean when we say like there are specific things that constitute what we label as a blue zone. And yes, there are 5 blue zones that Amanda had mentioned before: Okinawa, Japan; Sardinia, Italy; Ikaria, Greece; Nicoya Peninsula, Costa Rica; and Loma Linda, California. All of those places are 5 identified blue zones specifically by Dan Buettner from National Geographic, but that doesn't mean that there aren't more in the world. And there aren't places that like do have significantly longer living populations as well. These are just
I
his
want to
research.
add one more thing before you jump into the 9 common denominators is the blue zones. Like the term was coined. I don't think Dan Buettner coined that term. Whoa, there's confetti on my screen. Did you see that?
Yeah, why? Because you went like
I
this?
don't know. Maybe. That was so odd.
I don't know.
I think it was coined by another scientist or researcher, but that Dan Buettner then took and kind of made it his own. But the reason it's called the blue zones is because the researcher, when he was exploring, or maybe Dan did this, I feel like there was one other guy. I'll have to look back on my notes, but he basically put a blue dot on a map every single time he met somebody above the age of 100. And what the blue zones were just like really concentrated areas of these blue dots, essentially.
Yep. Love it. That's a fun fact. That's a good trivia.
It's a great
trivia
factoid.
Question. That's a great factoid. I love that one. Okay, so 9 common denominators. We've kind of touched on a few of them already, which one of the first ones is loved ones first. So living with your elders, respecting your elders, being equals with your elders, just integrating that idea of different age demographics into your life. The second one is right tribe, which is similar to, again, what we've been talking about, surrounding yourself with social circles and communities that support health and wealth and well-being. And we all know the saying of what's within you surrounds you, and you really become who you spend time around, whether you like it or not, whether you want to or not. And so finding people that can be really good accountability coaches and are also focused on the same thing, like focused on not necessarily this obsessive compulsive, I'm going to live forever, but like, I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to do things that make me feel good. Plants is a big one. So diets that are focused on greens, beans, legumes, and like they're centered around natural, organic ingredients from the earth. 80% rule, if we're talking about food still in the same category, stop eating when you are 80% full. And that is a huge, huge, huge thing that we have no concept of how to do in the United States, because everything portion-wise is massive. Everything is so just like fast. You eat really, really fast that your body doesn't catch up with like your mind, or vice versa.
There was some woman on the docuseries that was explaining why we do that in the US. Was explaining that the farmers in the early 1900s, maybe the 20s or the 30s, I'm not exact on the dates. Something about the farmers were told to make more food for some reason. And then once they made all of this food, they needed people to eat it. So they increased the portion sizes. They increased, the caloric intake in certain packaged food items. But there was a reason for it. There was a reason that they were tasked to create more food.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'd love to hear more about that when we have more information on it. It's also
when you have a fully fleshed out opinion, Amanda.
Yeah, when you actually know what the fuck you're talking about. I would love to, hear the actual cold hard truth. But I think it's also just this concept of gluttony, right? We want as much as we can have, whether that be
Yeah.
material items or food or wealth. And so I think we definitely push ourselves beyond the 80% rule because of the speed at which we eat, the amount that we're served, and basically this like fear response, this lack response of like, I need to have it all. And I think something that is really, really considered and attached to your intuition is stopping at 80% full, is knowing how to trust your body, is eating slowly, is putting your fork down in between bites, is really taking the time around a dinner table to talk and socialize and like create the experience as more than just eating to eat. It's eating to socialize, it's eating to experience, it's eating to exist. And you're able to understand your limits of your actual physiological fullness when you are more present in the circle, in the space. Okay, another one is downshifting. So getting yourself out of stressful environments and taking time, it's essentially self-care, right? It's essentially ways to downshift your nervous system, whether that's naps, whether that's tea ceremonies, whether that's just like a bubble bath, rituals to de-stress. A lot of these cultures place specific time and value on rituals and activities to de-stress, which we don't often do because we're in a hustle culture.
Yeah, a lot of them take siestas too.
Yes.
In the middle of the day, they'll take naps and just like have a break and have a rest, which like is so unheard of. Or if you do hear it in the US, it's very like demonized. It's like, why are you napping? What are you doing?
Why are you taking time? Why aren't you being productive? Why are you wasting time doing that?
Yeah.
Another one that I missed when we were on kind of the food topic was wine. A lot of these cultures, a lot of these cultures identified that they had a moderate consumption of alcohol with friends, specifically red wine. That's why they say red wine good for the heart.
And I was watching in the docuseries, what is it? How do you say it? Icaria?
Yeah, Icaria.
Icaria, Greece. Did you go there? Where was that?
No, it's quite north.
Okay. They were also talking about the process of their wine and how they make it. It's all natural, obviously, but how they make it in an amphora versus in an oak barrel, which is what we do in the U.S. An amphora is more of like an ancient process. It's what they used to do back like hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And something about that process also is makes the wine better for you, I guess. They also don't use additives, so
sure.
That's also a factor. But yeah, I mean, they also talk about like the dance parties and laughing and how the wine coupled with the socializing.
That.
Yes,
it's not drinking wine by yourself in your bedroom. It's not like drinking wine to cope from the stress that you're not able to downshift from. It's I do think it's a lot about the social aspect of the consumption of the alcohol, not necessarily like getting drunk makes you live longer. It's putting yourself in social circles and scenarios where alcohol is served to you in order to be connective and, like you said, create dancing, create laughter, create experience. And then two more. We have three more. We have one that is moving naturally. So incidental movements. So it's not necessarily in the US where we have this culture of like, I need to go to the gym. I need to work out. I need to do my workout class. It's incidental movement, which just means movement in your day that is natural. So whether that's gathering the food and the beans and the vegetables from your garden, whether that's walking down to the well to fill up your water, whether that's like just getting up and moving. We live very sedentary lifestyles. And so a lot of these blue zone regions have incidental movement where it's not attempting, it's not trying, again, like not trying to live longer. It's not trying to work out and burn calories. It's just they live lifestyles where they're moving a lot more. They're out of the home. They're walking up and down these streets. They're walking to see their neighbor. They're doing like, it's movement naturally integrated into their life.
This is what I was talking about on the Antibes episode where I said Europeans are healthier because they're walking. This was my point to all of the fucking trolls that came for me on Instagram. But also to make a point here, in Okinawa, what they do and what they say is that they are getting up and down constantly. So when
Uh-huh.
they eat at the dinner table, they're not sitting on a chair, they're sitting on the floor. And so when they're going to eat every single time, they're sitting down, they're standing up, they're sitting down, they're standing up. And the number one reason, like one of the, not the number one, but one of the top 10 reasons that older people either fall and hurt themselves or die is because they fall. Is because they
Yeah.
don't have the mobility that people in blue zones have, where they are getting up and getting down every single day.
Yeah. That's why oftentimes you hear the languaging, mobility is longevity. That's a
Yes.
lot. I hear that a lot in the fitness industry. I hear that a lot in the yoga industry. It's like mobility is longevity. It's not
Yes.
necessarily about like your cardiovascular health. It's not necessarily about like how flexible you are. It's your mobility in your joints. It's your mobility that creates longevity because, yeah, you prepare your body to move a bit more fluidly and prevent things like you said, like falling and getting hurt. And an injury when you're older is really, really difficult to come back from. So if you're
Yes.
preventative about even getting one of those injuries, then c'est la vie.
Yep.
And then these two are the last and arguably the most important, which I want us to dive further into. And they kind of go alongside one another. One of them is purpose, a sense of purpose. And one of them is belonging in spiritual or faith-based or just community-oriented systems. So purpose and belonging are really two big, big, big portions of these, again, regions that contribute to resilience, contribute to longevity, and like these perspectives and these mindsets that you gain from being in belonging, in belief, in purpose. Like, how does that counteract isolation? How does that counteract stress? How does that counteract like a lot of the leading causes of disease in people's bodies and in people's minds? So I'm curious to know like what ways in your specific life you feel like your belonging to certain communities creates purpose and or vice versa, and how those things like make you feel alive and really sustainably healthy.
Mm. Yeah, before I answer that, I want to give examples of what they said in the documentary too of those,
Please.
because in Japan they call it ikigai, your
Ikigai,
ikigai.
ikigai. Mhm.
Yeah, and that's like your purpose. But the way that they were explaining it and the way they were asking these people, it almost seemed like they were also discussing it in the sense of like a legacy. Like, yes, it's your
Mhm.
purpose, but it's also your legacy. It's the thing that stays around when you die.
I
And
love that.
this was the main factor of the spiritual health for people who live over 100, was having a sense of purpose. And then in Loma Linda, California, with the belongingness, what's interesting about this blue zone, which I didn't watch this part of it, I'm really curious too, because it's a religious place. It's like
Highly.
one of the only religious blue zones, like not religious, but like it's a religious community. And I thought it was interesting that belongingness was a huge part of it, because for this one, a huge part of why they have the longest living people is because they do a Sabbath, which is like 24 hours where you rest, you reflect, you are not using phones, no electricity, like all the things. You're just with people and with yourself, and it's something that they call a spiritual renewal, which
Mm.
again, we just don't take the time to prioritize these things. Like belongingness and purpose are very prioritized. Even when we were in France and we went out on the town and interviewed that guy, one of the things that he said, which just reminded me of this, was when we wake up in the morning, we don't think we have to make money. But even the languaging of when I wake up in the morning, when I get out of bed, this is
Uh-huh.
my purpose. We don't think like that. We don't think, okay, well, when I get up in the morning, what am I going to do? Like what am I going to do that contributes to my purpose? And so going back to the question you asked me, I think that being a mom has given me both of those things. It's given me the sense of belongingness because I have a family. I was just talking about this with somebody, where there's something really, really fulfilling about coming home to a full house. And that's something that I'm really learning to appreciate. I think for a while it was like, oh, I don't ever get my alone time. I don't ever get like a morning to just like have a slow morning and journal and be by myself. But now I'm starting to really appreciate how beautiful it is to come back to a full home. And I'm sure you even feel that too when you come back to your childhood home and you have your parents. It's just like, it's just a different energy. And so I think that being a mom has given me that sense of belonging, but also it's given me that purpose where I wake up every single day. And even though I think I have multiple purposes, and, this podcast is a huge part of it, having a voice on social media is a huge part of it, and empowering women is a big part of it, I also have like a physical purpose every single day, which is to keep my children alive. Like that is literally my purpose day in and day out and will be for the rest of my life. And that is what I've always been trying to convey as well, is that sense of purpose. Oh my God, you scared me.
Who is it over here?
You scared me. Speaking of.
Hi, you blondie baby.
Say hi, Jess.
Hi, Jessa.
I miss you so much. Are you having so much
fun?
Are you having fun? Yeah.
Look how long your
Mom.
hair is, you little stinky chicky.
Mommy's got a little bit longer to record and then I'll be done. Okay? I'll be done soon. I've got a little longer. Can you go out with me? Holy shit.
Got a sense
He's scared.
Sense of
scared
purpose.
The fuck out of me.
That is so funny.
Yeah, speaking of my purpose, I think that motherhood has given me both of those things, and it's given me the drive as well to then feed into my other purposes that I feel so strongly. But I'm curious what your ikigai is.
I think there's a big discernment, especially when we always contextualize like Eastern versus Western world and America versus other countries. Like, we're all trying to figure it the fuck out, right? We're not trying to talk down on America, but it is interesting how priorities are different. And I think something about purpose that I've noticed in the United States has been a big deconditioning and unprogramming for me as I move into my late 20s. My birthday is in 2 days, by the way, everybody, so you better wish me happy birthday. Is the ability to be sovereign in my purpose. So the ability to be, like we use this word all the time, autonomous in what my purpose is and not following what other people tell me my purpose is. So I think they don't necessarily specifically talk about this in these Blue Zone documentaries and in this research on Blue Zones, but I think it's something really important to distinguish is that purpose feels most intuitive and most empowering when it's chosen by you, when it's not necessarily your purpose of you having to show up at the office and complete X, Y, and Z task, right? Like that's your purpose on paper. That's your purpose in your career. That's your purpose in your life, right? But when you get the choice, when you get the decision to have purpose that is ever changing and flowing and like feeling really aligned with you, it doesn't necessarily matter what the purpose is, what the output of that is, whether that's being a mom, whether that's being a yoga teacher, whether that's being in these different roles and identities. It's just the fact that like I got to pick, I got to choose my purpose.
Yes.
I got to choose instead of having to follow what other people have chosen and boxed me into. This is what you should be doing as your purpose and your sense of belonging. So for me, it's less about like the actuality of what the purpose is and more about the fact that I get to choose. I do think that like my sense of belonging has really settled in terms of the people that I had connected with in the last year and like feel really supported by. It's kind of that right tribe idea of being in groups of people that like, like instead of going to grab a drink, it's, hey, do you want to go do a sauna and cold plunge session? Hey, do you want to like sit and just chat about like how you're feeling and what you're doing? And like, I just am in a really supportive sense of belonging tribe that maybe has to do with yoga sometimes, and maybe I don't know. I think that for me it's less of the roles I play and more of the options in choice that I have. Does that make sense? Yeah.
1000%. And it's a really good reminder to just always share, because I think people think that they're autonomous, or they think that they have been autonomous. But the further we get into our purpose and the monotony of it and the day to day and like the actual doingness, it does get lost. Like, you do have to constantly be checking if you are actually the one that's in charge of these things, and you are still liking these things. That's really important. Yes. I have one more question, because I think the biggest thing that I'm taking away from just hearing about the blue zones is, again, like, everyone has their different formulas. You oftentimes don't have to buy the formula to aging gracefully.
Yes.
However, how do we age gracefully? Because that is something that I am really thinking about. Is I don't want to be enjoying my life so much so that like I fuck myself for the future, you know? So how do we age gracefully? What does that mean for us? What are maybe the things that we're doing now, or the things that we're interested in now, that are specifically because we're thinking about our future?
Yeah. I think it's this balance of wanting to be realistic and wanting to plan for a future that is supportive and comfortable and honors your values of how you want to live, however that looks for you. So it is the sense of being like prepared enough and having goals and a future forward thinking mind enough, while also recognizing that like you are building your future in this current moment. We've talked about this in the Alchemist episode, in our book club episode, is that the only reason your future will open up and blossom to what it's going to be is because you're able to build it right here, right now. You can't build your future from anywhere else. And I think aging gracefully looks different for everyone. But one of the things that we didn't have time to touch on today, which hopefully we can touch on in a different episode, or just kind of like an extension, maybe we can post a Substack about it, is this idea of these research studies that Dan Buettner had done, where he went into specific cities in America and he did nothing other than changing the environment by adding walking paths, by changing these urbanized environments to include healthy options for people to make the decision if they wanted to participate in and use, and creating infrastructure and choice for people. So I think aging gracefully also comes from really looking around at your environment. It's not always like the supplements that you put into your body and the movement that you do and like the way that you take care of yourself, right? Like that is very important, sure. But it's also, again, what's within you surrounds you. So like, am I living in communities that support me walking between my friends' houses? Am I living in communities that support me looking out at the lake and trees? Am I living in communities that like make me feel like I'm able to create a life around like what fits in with that physical geographic environment? And I mean, this is such a nuanced, detailed topic that could go any direction, but I think like the economics of healthcare in America reward sickness, right? They reward like I'm opening a can of worms here, but I think that the first step obviously is always awareness. So instead of trying to be healthy in these like very retroactive ways, it's thinking about the roots. It's thinking about preventative, holistic ways to create health within your mind, body, spirit, within your community. And so action item that we can leave you all on is, I really do think there's enough here for a second episode on this, but taking a survey of your life, maybe looking down at a piece of paper and literally writing what makes me feel good, what doesn't, what can I change, what do I have to like work around and just change my mindset on because I can't change in my life at the moment. What makes me feel like I belong? What makes me feel like I have purpose? Just asking yourself these surveyed questions of like intuition and looking around you at what is my life actually shaping out to be? Because like you said before, we get stuck in these monotonous, mundane schedules where we're just like, yep, this is my purpose. This is what I have to complete. This is what I have to do. Okay, here I am. I'm existing. Like find things that are common denominators of things that make you feel healthy and wealthy and alive.
I love that. I also, when you were talking about the action items of journaling, what's serving me, what's not serving me, I almost thought about it too in the sense of, I know that something that's very popular for people to do when they journal is journaling like with their higher self in mind, like their future self. But I'm realizing now, I don't think I've ever journaled with like my 80-year-old self in mind, or like my 60-year-old self in mind, or like my 70-year-old self in mind. And I think that could be a really fun exercise, is like speaking directly to my 70-year-old self. What
That's so
do I
interesting.
want? Like, what do I want in my 70s? What do I want to be doing? What are my values? Where do I see myself? Do I want to get healthy because I want to have grandkids and I want to be able to run around with them? Like, do I want to be speaking and working still? What do I want to be doing? Like, what do I want to feel? What do I need to do now to be able to achieve that? And not in this sense of like my whole youth is going to be wasted on thinking about my future, but just in the sense of like, I'm thinking of you.
Yeah. Yeah. And changing the concept of I don't have to. I love that idea. And I think that's a great, even if it's not a journaling session, just like keep that in mind. Maybe have like a mental visualization of what that feels like or would look like for someone. But I think what we can leave everyone on is this concept of not that necessarily, oh, cool, like that must be great for all these people that live in Sardinia, Italy. They get to just like live in a blue zone. Congratulations. Like, lucky you.
Yeah.
Just because you're European, it's because you live in Italy. Congrats. It's how do I turn my own life into my own personal blue zone? Blue zone is just a coined term for living a life with like longevity, sustainable longevity, cognitive, a lack of cognitive decline, like we said in the beginning, and a lack of just like these degenerative chronic diseases. And so how is
that
your
are
environment?
avoidable.
Yes.
That are avoidable and preventable
Yes.
if you care. Yeah.
I'm living till 107. I'm going to freeze my body.
Yeah, I think I'd love to live to 100. It just depends again on like the status of my well-being at that point. But I would only hope that I can be like that woman in Okinawa who's singing and dancing and laughing and still with it at 101. But I love this episode. I feel like my parents are going to like bang on my window if I don't start wrapping up. So,
Okay.
Thank you guys so much for listening. This was so much fun. Let us know if you liked this virtual episode. I liked the virtual episode, honestly. It's kind of convenient.
It's super convenient. It's fun to be from different places all over the world. My mom was saying that she like loves watching where we are and what we're doing and having like different backgrounds and stuff, and us telling people about like where we're recording live from. So, recording live from Canandaigua, New York, wine country, tiny Scandinavian home. I'm going back in the sauna because it just started to rain, and this is the perfect time to work on my longevity.
I love that. Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you in the next episode.
See you next week. Love you.